Welcome back, students. Again, in continuation with the online class series of 9th Science, chapter number 5, that is the fundamental unit of life. Now, we have already seen or we have discussed the structure of a generalized cell, eukaryotic cell in detail. Now, we are going to take each and every part in detail, that is everything, that is all the cell organelles, all the component parts of the cell, we are going to discuss it in detail. So, when we are doing this over here, we are first going to talk about the plasma membrane. It is also said to be the cell membrane, also known as the cell membrane. When we are talking about its constituency, this cell membrane, it is lipoproteinaceous in nature. It is lipoproteinaceous in nature. That is, it is made up of lipids and proteins. Now, when we are going to talk about the the functions of the plasma membrane, as we are going to talk about functions, the very first function is it encloses the entire content of the cell within itself. It encloses the entire content of the cell within itself. Thus, it forms a limiting boundary which separates the internal environment of the cell from the external environment. It forms a limiting membrane which separates the internal environment of the cell from its outer environment. Then it protects the cell. It protects the cell. Then food. It allows passage of only certain substances in and out through it. It allows the passage of only certain substances in and out of the cell through it. In and out of the cell through it. Hence, it is selectively permeable in nature. So, this is all about the plasma membrane. That is, basically, it is lipoproteinaceous in nature. That is, it is made up of the lipids and proteins. Now when we are talking about the functions, the very first function is it encloses the entire content of the cell within itself. That is, all the contents, whether it is the protoplasm, the cytoplasm, the nucleoplasm or the cell organelles, it encloses all these things within itself. Thus, it forms a limiting membrane of the cell Then second, it forms a limiting membrane which separates the internal environment of the cell from its external environment. Thus, it it acts as a barrier between the external environment of the cell and the internal environment of the cell. It isolates the cell environment from the external environment. Then third, it protects the cell. It very well protects the cell by guarding the passage or entry of the other particles within the cell. Then fourth, as it is, I said that it allows only certain particles to enter into the cell itself. Therefore, it is known as a selectively permeable membrane. Now, we are going to talk about what do we understand by selectively permeable nature. So when we are going to talk about the selectively permeable nature, first we should understand what do we understand by the word permeable. Permeability is a nature or a property of a substance or a membrane through which it allows entry and exit of the particles through it. Those membranes which allow the entry and exit of every type of the particle through it, they are said to be permeable membranes. Semi-permeable membranes are those membranes which allow entry and exit of only the fewer particles. Then third is selectively permeable. That is, it allows entry and exit of only certain selected particles through it. There is a difference between semi-permeable and selectively permeable. Here when we are talking about selectively permeable, it is specified. That is, the entry and exit of only certain specified particle is allowed to through it, whereas in the semi-permeable membrane it is not specified, neither it is precised. So now we can talk about what this semi-permeability, how does this semi-permeability of the plasma membrane help out the cell. Due to this semi-permeable nature of the cell, the entry and exit of only certain type of the substances takes place through the membrane, and due to which two processes are made possible. That is, first is diffusion and second is osmosis. So first let us talk about diffusion. As in our previous classes, that is when we were dealing up with chapter number 1, I have already told you all what is the process of diffusion. Again, to memorize it, diffusion is a process where the movement of particles takes place from the region of their higher concentration to the region of their lower concentration. That is, diffusion is a process where the movement of the particles takes place from the region of their higher concentration to the region of their lower concentration. So, how does it take place? With this process, the movement of gases like carbon dioxide and oxygen is made very much possible. How does it take place? So, for example, this is the cell, and within the cell, as we all know, various metabolic activities are taking place. So, as a result of that, a large amount of carbon dioxide is produced due to the oxidation of food substances stored within the cell. So now what happens, since the carbon dioxide, the concentration of the carbon dioxide is more within the cell, and in comparison to that it is less outside the cell, what will happen? The movement of the carbon dioxide particles are going to take place from the region of their higher concentration to the region of their low concentration, that is from the cell inside to the cell outside. Thus this is what is diffusion is. Now another thing, that the concentration of oxygen is higher in the region of the cell outside, and it is less within the cell. Then what happens, that the movement of the particles of oxygen starts from the region of their higher concentration, that is from the cell outside to the cell inside. This is what is known as diffusion. Now we are going to talk about osmosis. Osmosis is a process of movement of the particles from the region of their higher concentration to the region of their lower concentration through a selectively permeable membrane or through a membrane. That is, again it is a process which is very much similar to the process of diffusion. That is, again the movement of the particles takes place from the region of their higher concentration to the region of their lower concentration, but the difference lies here is that it requires a membrane. That is, the diffusion of the movement of the particles takes place through the membrane, whereas in diffusion process the presence of membrane was not required. So what happens over here, that is, if we place a cell in a medium which is very dilute, then what happens? Very dilute means it is containing more amount of water. The water content is higher in the dilute solutions. Such type of solutions where the water content is very high are said to be hypotonic solutions. So what happens over here, that when the solution is very dilute outside the medium of the cell, then the movement of the particles of water starts from outside the cell and they start entering into the cell, as a result of which the cell swells up. Now if we place this cell in a medium which is having equal amount of water as it is found within the cell system itself, that is, the solution is isotonic. Isotonic solution are those solutions which contains equal amount of the water content present outside the medium as well as inside the medium. So in that very particular case, there will be no net gain of the water from the cell. The reason behind it is that the amount of the water molecules that are entering within the cell will be equal to the amount of the water particles existing out of the cell. Thus there will be no net gain of the water particles from by the cell, and hence there is no change in the shape, size and volume of the cell. Now third condition is that when the cell is kept in hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solutions means those solutions which are very much concentrated. That is, the amount of the water content is very less in comparison to the cell. So what will happen? The movement of the water particles will take from the cell towards outside, since the water particles are present in a very less quantity outside the cell. Hence what will happen? After a certain time we are going to observe that the cell size shrinks. Such type of solutions are said to be hypertonic solutions. Such type of observations are made in our day-to-day life activities. That is, if we soak some raisins in water, what do we observe? That the raisins, they swell up after a certain period of time. That is, and osmosis has taken place. And osmosis means when osmosis has taken place within the cell system itself. That is, the water particles have gained entry within the cell itself. Such type of processes are said to be end osmosis, as a result of which the cell swells up. Here the raisins, they are going to gain up the water and they are going to swell up. After a certain period of time, when we are going to keep the raisin outside the water, what will happen? That since there is a scarcity of water in the outside medium, what happens? These raisins, they start losing up their water into the external environment, and hence as a result of which what happens? The raisins, they shrink up. This is known as exosmosis. Exosmosis is a process wherein the movement of the particles takes place from the cell towards the external environment, as a result of which shrinkage occurs. So this is all about the plasma membrane. Now we are going to talk about the varied other cell organelles in detail in our next videos. Thank you.